Bishop. Happy 4th of July weekend. Here we
Good,
are
hey,
again.
good to be here.
We're coming through again what we have called the Fortnight for Freedom that the U.S. bishops called for a couple of years ago, and they've seen fit to renew the call each year. What is the Fortnight for Freedom, and why do we have it?
Well, it's in the 2 weeks before the 4th of July, reminding us of our freedoms, especially religious freedom, which is enshrined in the Constitution. So we want to preserve that. It originally started in response to the HHS mandate, where we're being forced to go against our own consciences and provide contraceptive, abortion, and sterilization services to our employees through healthcare, which is a very misguided approach. So that was a reaction to that we began. But as we look around, there's many other threats to our religious freedom in our society today that need to be recognized. And during this time of prayer and also of action, trying to make people aware of what the problems are, so kind of get enshrined. I hope that someday in the future it's not necessary, but for the foreseeable future, I think it's very necessary. We're fighting right now in New York State for the income tax credit. We see a lot of anti-Catholicism there, not understanding that people should have a choice in where they educate their children, especially if they want to educate them in a religious background, and that the state should support that as a fundamental right. It's not just a right you have that's an empty right that to figure it out yourself, but it should be also supported.
Yeah, it's not a right if you can't afford it,
That's
right?
right, exactly.
Yeah. Around the world, of course, we've seen a lot of anti-Christian, anti-religious persecution. So, you know, here in the United States, when we say, oh, it's anti-Catholic, it's a little bit more subtle than it is around the world. They're not chopping our heads off here.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true. I mean, you can see avert not only discrimination, but actual terror being foisted on many Christians around the world. So we're lucky in comparison, but still we have the issues.
Yeah, people will always come back with the refrain, well, we need separation of church and state here in the United States, and that's enshrined in the Constitution too. But, you know, our point is that it doesn't mean you make the difference.
Let me correct you.
Yeah,
it's not, separation of church and state is not in the Constitution. In the First Amendment, the government should not favor one religion over another, and that's always to protect not the state, but the church from the state. So one is not favored over the other. So they should make no law that discriminates. So that's clearly a misunderstanding. Jackson was the one who talked about the wall of separation, but that's not in the Constitution, and not that we believe that church and state should be mixed. There should be a separation. But this mantra of separation of church and state is used on everything. What doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned before about the fight for the educational tax credit, and we saw at the end of that fight where they tried to revise this this bill that would do away with the statute of limitations on church workers. I mean, isn't that a form of anti-Catholic and anti-religious fervor?
It's clearly the case. It was done in retaliation because of the pressure they were getting to do something about the tax credit. Incredible mixture of things putting together one thing or another that don't fit, but it's retaliation. It's pure nasty politics.
What are we doing here in our own diocese? What did we do to observe the Fortnight for Freedom?
Well, as besides educational information getting out to the tablet and other sources on the net, we on the vigil of 4th of July from the 3rd, about I think 7-8 o'clock, we're having an all-night vigil of adoration of the Blessed Sacrament going into July the 4th morning, praying for our rights and praying to preserve them. The best weapon we have is prayer. So that's what we want to do that, and that'll be the cap and the end of the observance.
Okay, Bishop, happy Independence Day, and thanks again for being with us.
You're welcome.